Alrighty then, how's it going, guys? So, I'm currently at my outlet, not really doing anything, crunching some friggin' numbers. But I thought, seeing as I'm here at work, and there's no customers and we can't open except for takeaway, so I figured I would do a live beer review for you guys. So I am currently drinking this beautiful guy right here. So this is Delirium Argentum. Now you can check out an official review that I did on this beer on my YouTube channel, or rather I should say on my Delirium YouTube channel. But for the meantime, let's talk about the Delirium Argentum and why I love it. So, yo, what up, bro? Sorry, customer just came in. Give me 1 minute. What's up, Nucky? How it is. Yeah, so anyway, Delirium Argentum. Now, easily one of the most fantastic beers of the Delirium range, in my opinion. Now, I love the Tremens, I love the red, everybody knows the Nocturnum is my favorite, but the Delirium Argentum, on the other hand, is one of those beers which, thank God Herg decided to brew this beer. It's just it's super refreshing, it's just a perfect IPA, and what makes it even better is the fact that it is an amber IPA. So it's got this beautiful, sweet, biscuity, bitter, freaking kind of like malty amber flavor, and it just, for me personally, I find that it rounds out that sort of American hop profile so nicely. I mean, the color of this beer itself, I mean, you just look at it, it's just, it's just beautiful to look at. It's got this sort of like creamy, sort of yellowish head, the beautiful effervescence, nice deep amber color. It's on the nose. I mean, it's exactly what you would expect of an IPA. It's full of passion fruit, mango, lychee, all those beautiful tropical notes. I mean, and specifically, this is what I love more than anything about American hop varietals, is just the smell that comes off them. Is just incredible. So now, this beer is about 40 IBU. Now, I would like, seeing as I'm not doing a YouTube video and I can take some time to waffle here, let's talk about IBU and what it is, what it means, and how you can use that to identify whether or not you might enjoy a beer. Now, I need to preface this by saying that the IBU scale is not particularly wonderful. 1 second. It's not wonderful in the sense that it's not a very accurate descriptor of how bitter a beer is going to be. Now, IBU itself stands for International Bitter Units, but if you have a beer which is sort of like very lightly malted, very low ABV, and it's got, let's say, an IBU of about 25, which is pretty average, then it's going to be noticeably bitter. Like it's going to, like, in fact, I would say that bitterness would be its primary character. Whereas if you've got a really heavily malted beer, think something that uses dark malts, chocolate malts, that sort of thing, and that's got an IBU of 25, then it's actually going to come across as less bitter, and the reason for that is just because of the fact that the malt is contributing such a rich, bready, biscuity kind of malty note that it is actually going to balance out that hop. So that's why IBU is not a particularly wonderful scale. However, generally speaking, if you're looking at beers will kind of range between about 15 to 45 IBU. I mean, that's the usual kind of scale that you get. You can obviously find beers that are more than that or less than that. Like Corona is probably about like a 5 IBU because it's a shitty beer that tastes nothing like water. So, and then there have been beers that I've never tasted them, but I've seen which are like 6,000 IBU. Now, if you ever see that, here's a hint. That sort of IBU is marketing. There's actually no real reason why you would have a beer with 6,000 IBU. And the reason why is because the human tongue can only register up to 60 IBU. If you actually drink a beer with more than 60 IBU, it's just going to taste like 60 IBU. It's not going to taste like 70 to 6,000 IBU. It's just going to taste like 60 IBU because that's all your tongue can register. So don't fall for that. I mean, I'm not saying that these beers are bad, but that's what they are. They're marketing. They're not anything other than that. So moving back to this particular beer, the Delirium Argentum. So this one comes in at 45 IBU, and it's just as you would expect from a Belgian beer, incredibly balanced. I mean, generally speaking, that's what Belgian beers are, is that they're never leaning too far on one side of the scale. There's always this measure of balance to them. So the Delirium Argentum is a 45 IBU, but because of the fact that it's brewed with amber malts, which give it that sort of like lovely bready, biscuity, malty sweetness, then it balances it out perfectly. So what I find in this particular beer is that you'll start off with this you get this sharp, bitey bitterness which kind of comes in, but it's very quickly balanced out by this beautiful sweetness from the malt. And it's one of those beers, it's like every single time you go to take a sip, you would literally just smell it because it just smells so damn good. The beer itself is 7% ABV, so it's fairly strong, but it's not like ridiculously strong. I mean, as far as Belgian beers go. I know that, when we're talking about averages, beer tends to be between about 3.5 to 5% ABV. But keep in mind that Belgian beer, on the other hand, usually ranges from about 6.5 to 9% ABV. So for a Belgian beer, yo, what's up, Bel? So for a Belgian beer, this is a fairly typical example strength-wise. So let's talk about the sort of hops that are in this beer. Now, I can't actually remember off the top of my head, but let's see if I can identify some of them through the smell. Absolutely no doubt in my mind that there is some Chinook and Citra in here. I don't know, there might be some Amarillo. I mean, it only uses American hop varieties, so there's no Brewer's Gold in this one as far as I know. I might be wrong about that. But definitely leading with a lot of Citra and Chinook. The Chinook you can tell because it's got that sort of like mango, passion fruit kind of tropical note, and the Citra, it's called Citra for a reason. This because it is a very citrusy kind of hop, and it really does evoke those sort of like lemon peel, lime peel kind of notes. Lime zest specifically. If you smell this beer, or if you smell any beer that's got a decent concentration of Citra hop, it's going to have this sort of like lime zest note on the undertone. So yeah, I don't think there's really much more I can say about this particular beer. It is an absolutely fantastic drop, and I definitely recommend it. I mean, for me, it's like my second beer that I go to. The first one is always a Nocturnum. Second one would be the Argentum. And then in between that, it's kind of whatever I feel like. But the last beer I always finish off with is Panapot, which I will probably introduce you guys to on a later date. At the moment, I don't have any. So, and I'm not going to get any in until MCO is ended at least. But until then, thanks for listening. Thanks for taking your time. And until next time, have a good one. Cheers, guys.